Again, welcome to today's webinar. We are really excited and so glad that you've joined us this morning. We are looking forward to kicking off this webinar series leading up to the Ohio Business Matchmaker. My name is Shonda Harris. I'm a business opportunity specialist with the Columbus SBA. And again, we are always excited when this time rolls around. Today's webinar is making the most of the matchmaker. And again, it's kicking off our series of webinars over the next month and a half, leading up to our signature event, the Ohio Business Matchmaker. We do recognize that some of you are new to the matchmaker. Some of you have joined us down through the years, but we never take for granted the opportunity to, and we look forward to having this event. Now, this event, we partner with several organizations, and we're glad that we have the opportunity. Two of those organizations are with us today that will be presenting. This event definitely takes more than just one individual or one organization, but we do have, it's a collaborative opportunity. So the SBA, the state of Ohio, the Ohio Department of Development, the Ohio Apex Accelerator, the Minority Business Assistance Center, the MBACs, our SBDC, Small Business Development Centers. And so we're just grateful for the partnership. I am going to give just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started so that you can have an idea of what to expect today. Today's session is, again, making the most of the matchmaker. And as a small business, we just want to give you an opportunity to find out what is the matchmaker. I'm not going to steal the thunder of our presenter today, but our presenters will go over and give you a little overview about what the matchmaker is, what you can expect, how you should prepare, and what you need to do as far as next steps once the matchmaker is over. We are excited that as small businesses, if you're doing business locally, you're doing business in the private sector, and you want to expand your opportunities, doing business with the government is kind of the next step. So government contracting. And so that's kind of what the matchmaker is all about. And we're just looking forward to giving you the opportunity to learn more about this event. So with that in mind, our speakers for today, we have Mr. Jim Lapley, who is the Deputy Chief and also the SBDC Statewide Director, the Office of Small Business and Global Trade at the Ohio Department of Development. And so Jim will give us a little bit of an overview and a backdrop about what the matchmaker is, what you can expect. And then Mr. Joey Scott, who is the Ohio Apex Accelerator Statewide Manager, also with the Office of Small Business and Global Trade at the Ohio Department of Development. We'll give you a little bit more insight as far as what you need to do to prepare for the event and what you can do as far as next steps. Now, a few housekeeping items. If you have questions for each of the presenter, we want to ask if you can type those questions in the chat. And once Jim is finished, we'll go ahead and address those questions. And the same with Joey, but if you can go ahead and put those in the chat. Today's session is being recorded. So if you aren't able to stay the entire time, if you want to go back and revisit some of the information that's given so that you can prepare, that the link for the recording will be posted on the Ohio Business Matchmaker website, as well as the Ohio Apex Accelerator at Ohio University's website so that you can revisit that. It will take about a week to finalize that, but both the recording and the PDF for the presentations will be posted. And I believe that may be it for the housekeeping items. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Jim Lapley, who will take us into what the matchmaker is all about. Jim?
Great. Shonda, thank you so much. Thanks for that kind introduction, and to all of our small businesses and government buyers and large prime contractors participating in today's webinar. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. If you're joining us via recording later, thank you as well for taking the time out of your schedule to learn a little bit more about this event and how this event can really help you and your business succeed. So as Shonda said, today I'm going to be providing an overview of what the Matchmaker is. It is an exciting event. It is an event very close to my heart. I have been part of this event for over a decade, and I continue to participate because I know this event works. Every year we are excited to meet with uh, government buyers and small businesses that have seen success, that have made connections, that have ultimately resulted in new contracting relationships. So learning objectives, we're going to move at a pretty fast pace, but we're going to kind of take a step back just to describe what the Matchmaker is and what it seeks to do. We're going to help folks determine if this is the right event for their business or agency. We're going to briefly talk about the registration process, and then we're going to talk about how to prepare. I'm going to cover a lot more of the logistics, but my colleague Joey Scott is going to do an in-depth dive to talk a little bit more how small businesses can make sure they're really ready for this event, because this event really pays dividends if you're willing to do your homework on the front end and make sure that you are ready for everything, all the opportunities that exist at the Ohio Business Matchmaker. So first and foremost, what is the Ohio Business Matchmaker? As I mentioned, this event has been around for over 15 years. The event is about one word, and that is opportunity. It is the opportunity to connect small businesses with government buyers and large prime contractors. And these are individuals who are typically behind fences on military bases. These are folks who are difficult to track down, mainly because they're so busy. But it is a rare opportunity for small businesses to meet one-on-one with the folks embedded in agencies who are putting out literally billions of dollars worth of contracts each year. As I mentioned, it's about opportunity, so it's about making those connections. I firmly believe at the basis of every business relationship is that personal connection, and this is a rare opportunity to engage one-on-one with some of these folks who are representing the incredible buying power of federal, state, local governments, and large prime contractors. This event is we're gonna kind of talk through the logistics of what it is, the who, what, when, where, and why. But I will also say that this is kind of a very special event, even nationally. It's the largest government contracting matchmaking event in the Midwest. But I will also say it's a very special event in that it is an event focused on engaging any business, whether they're starting out in government contracting or they're experienced government contractors. The folks coming to this event understand that, and they are willing to work with you and talk with you through the process of what it takes to do business with their specific agency. So just a few of the details. The event is April 23rd and 24th in person at the Nutter Center at Wright State University. That is their basketball arena. We take over not just the arena floor, but two of the practice gyms on the back of the building. It's a large event. We have a lot of buyers and small businesses participating, a lot of energy surrounding this event as well. So again, it is in person, half day, April 23rd, primarily focused on training and setup. The 24th is what the main event is all about, and that is our full day of one-on-one meetings between small businesses and folks involved in that government contracting space. Last year, we were able to facilitate over 1,500 meetings in one day. We want to top that number, as great as that number is, and we are excited to keep building the momentum around this event. So broadly, who should attend this event? You'll hear me using the words buyers and suppliers a lot. That's typically just to explain what those mean. When we're talking about suppliers, suppliers are small businesses. These are folks who want to sell to government agencies, large prime contractors, or other large organizations that are interested in engaging with the small business community. When we talk about government agencies or large prime contractors, we typically use the word buyers. So buyers are federal, state, and local government contracting offices. So these are the folks who are out there putting out RFPs, putting out opportunities for small businesses to bid against. Large prime contractors typically are, those big companies that do a lot of work with the federal government. It doesn't always have to be a government contractor, though. We have hospitals, we have large corporations that may or may not be involved in the government contracting space. But the buyers across the board are interested in diversifying their supplier base. This has been a challenge for the federal government, especially. But the reality is fewer and fewer businesses are doing business with the government. That's shrinking the pool of suppliers. That sometimes is causing higher costs, but also you're losing some of the innovation and quality services that small businesses can offer. So government buyers are there to identify new small businesses they can potentially do business with. A lot of times they're looking for specific categories. The federal government has set aside categories in a number of different areas. Those could be women-owned businesses or veteran-owned businesses. We recruit against all of those government set-aside categories, but this event is open to any small business that wants to participate. Small businesses, we'll talk a little bit about, what stage in your business you should be in just a moment. But as I said, this is open to any small business that wants to participate, any small businesses that is engaged or interested at getting engaged in the government contracting space or meeting with some of these large primes. And then we also have a third category, and those are our exhibitors. Exhibitors kind of come in two flavors. That first level of exhibitor is a supplier that is interested in having a space to exhibit their wares. Maybe you want to be able to bring a larger object and bring a contracting officer over to your table to show the capacity or a certain product that you offer to the federal government. So that guarantees you floor space. It guarantees you that you have a place to exhibit your wares. The other flavor of exhibitor we have are folks who are interested in providing goods or services to those in attendance. So these typically are organizations that are selling a product or service to the small businesses in attendance at this event. So again, those are kind of those two categories. But as a small business, if you're an exhibitor, you have access to everything that a small business would have under a standard supplier ticket as well, and with the added space of the opportunity to exhibit your wares. So briefly talking about, what type of buyers should attend. Again, if you are a federal, state, or local government agency looking to connect and diversify your supplier base, looking to attract increased competition, which I think is the mission of every federal, state, or local government agency, then this is the event for you. You'll have the opportunity to meet with hundreds of small businesses, and you'll have the opportunity to really drill down to the type of businesses you want to meet with. If you are a small business supplier, is this the right event for you? So I would say that if you are a brand new small business, if you have very limited sales experience, if you're just starting out, this probably isn't the event for you unless you have some really unique experience or background. So suppose you are starting a business, but you're targeting that business to a government agency. Perhaps you're a veteran, or perhaps you have previously worked in government and you have a unique solution, and that value proposition is there for government buyers. Then yes, it's probably the right event for you. But if you are brand new starting out and you don't really have any sort of sales experience, you might want to consider coming to this event, or you may want to consider really putting in some serious work before you come to this event to make sure you're going to get the most out of it. Our buyers, especially in the government space, tend to be a little more risk averse, so they're going to want to see companies that have some experience under their belt to really capitalize on that new relationship. But if you are an existing small business, if you have experience, so if you have sales under your belt, if you are ready to take the plunge into the government contracting space, this is absolutely the event for you. Whether you're just starting out in government procurement, or if you've got a couple contracts under your belt, this is a unique opportunity. There is a tremendous opportunity to meet with dozens of buyers in just one day. Typically, it can take you weeks to set up one of these meetings, let alone to be able to really capitalize on having this much volume under one roof. So, like I said, if you are a business and you're ready to take the plunge, this is absolutely the event for you. I'm going to kind of quickly go through the types of buyers this event attracts, starting with our local governments. We have townships, we have cities, we have counties, and then we have a lot of quasi-governmental authorities as well, including some of our airports. The great news is you can go to our website and see in pretty much real time the types of buyers that are registered. And because we're talking about local government, don't assume that that means there's not a lot of buying power here. For example, the John Glenn International, the Columbus Airport Authority, they are undertaking a $2 billion expansion of the airport in Columbus. We have regional transit authorities that are buying parts and services to the tunes of millions of dollars. We have local construction projects. We have townships that are buying equipment as well as services, and want to do a better job of connecting to small businesses. There's also a really unique opportunity now in that we are still seeing a tremendous volume of COVID-related funds coursing through our local governments. Some of those are project-related or stimulus-related. And as part of those funds, for the first time, many local governments are required to go out and do outreach to the small business community, and this definitely helps our local governments do that. When we talk about state governments, the state of Ohio is a very large purchaser of goods, products, and services from the small business community. We are proud that we have almost every state agency there, and we are proud that our agencies really cover a very broad gamut of the types of products and services you may be offering. The state of Ohio maintains vehicle fleets. We're involved heavily in the construction business. The Department of Transportation will be there. We also have the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. They are in charge of every state building and rehabilitation project going on across the state. There's tremendous opportunities in IT across state agencies. The Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections is maintaining facilities across the state, in addition to maintenance and contracts for supplies. They're even managing the commissaries within each one of those facilities. So there's tremendous opportunity. I encourage you to do homework, look at the buyers who are going to be there, and we're going to give you some of those resources that are going to help you do that here in a little bit. We also have really good participation from our state universities. If you think about it, Ohio State University is essentially a city unto itself. There's over 50,000 people on campus, not including the regional campuses every day. And again, their needs, both in specific goods, products, parts, as well as the services they need are substantial. And all of our agencies are looking to identify new suppliers, new small businesses to engage. In addition to that, we have our federal agencies. They have the most buying power, and they are represented incredibly well at the Ohio Business Matchmaker. We are one of the reasons we hold this event in Dayton is we are right outside the gates at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and Wright-Patterson is home to several of the largest buying agencies in the country. In addition, Columbus is home to the Defense Logistics Agency. If there is a part within the federal government, whether that's for vehicles, whether it is for a weapon system, whether it's for a boat, Defense Logistics Agency is that purchaser. They maintain all of the products that support our warfighters around the globe, and they're also in charge of getting it there. So We are very excited to have a continued participation from a lot of federal agencies. Air Force Material Command is in charge of all the products and services for every Air Force installation on the globe. So if you think about their buying power, it is astronomical. And the array of services and products they're looking for really cover the gamut. So unless you are doing something incredibly niche, odds are there's probably an opportunity, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of those resources that can help you identify some of those buyers that you should prioritize at the matchmaker. And then we have our prime contractors. So when we say prime contractors, we are talking about really large organizations that are looking to diversify their supplier base. If they're involved in the government contracting space, they have set aside goals where they are supposed to subcontract a certain percentage of their contracts with the small business community, and that can be challenging. So we've got a great value proposition where we can connect them to hundreds of small businesses in one day. Not all of our prime contractors are doing substantial business with the federal government. They may have their own supplier and diversity programs. You know, they may be looking to engage with for example, veteran-owned small businesses. So really, if you are a large corporation but want to do a better job of engaging the small business community, this is a fantastic opportunity to, again, meet with hundreds of small businesses in one day. On the screen, you see some of our past participants. These are pretty big names, and we are always excited to have some of our large corporate partners participate in our event as well. So a little bit about the event format. So the event is set up as a reverse trade fair. So what does that mean? Basically, we take over the arena floor. It is full of government buyers. So government buyers will be sitting at tables. They have their own established table. They can bring any materials they want. You see a lot of backdrops and banners and tablecloths identifying that specific agency. But buyers are going to be at the table. Suppliers are essentially there to effectively speed date between these federal agencies. So you will have the opportunity to sit down one-on-one with these buyers. You will be able to pitch them about your offers, what problem you can solve for these federal agencies, federal, state, and local government agencies, what value you can bring to these organizations. But you're also going to have the opportunity to ask them questions, identify potential upcoming contracting opportunities, or just kind of pick their brain about potential end users of your product within these organizations. So like I said, reverse trade show format. We're going to quickly kind of run through the schedule as to what the matchmaker looks like. So the first day of the matchmaker, as I said, is a half day. It is focused on training. So we've got a number of roundtable discussions. These are typically successful small businesses or buying agencies talking about best practices. So again, if you're new to this space, really encourage you to attend that first day of events. But if you're existing in this space, it's a fantastic opportunity to network, to find other small businesses that you can potentially partner with. We talk a lot about teaming at the matchmaker. So maybe you don't have the capacity at your small business to execute against a really large award, but perhaps you can get together with 2, 3, or 4 small businesses and together compete and win some of these contracts. One of my favorite stories, we have a client who participated in the matchmaker. They were an IT firm. They partnered with a number of other smaller firms. They were able to get a over $100 million contract with the federal government to supply IT services at facilities. So don't underestimate the networking ability and value of this event either. But on the first day, we basically have set up. So if you are an exhibitor or a buyer, you're welcome to come early and set up. And then again, we've got these trainings going from noon until 4. The wrap up of the first day is a great networking reception. So we'll have some light hors d'oeuvres and refreshments, and you'll have the opportunity to connect with any of the buyers that are present, but also it's a fantastic opportunity to meet with other small businesses to talk about opportunities and options, and again, to make those connections. The second day is where the real activity happens. So, as I mentioned, the second day kicks off bright and early. We will have an open program, an opening program where we'll have a few guest speakers from some of those organizations that help collaborate to put on this event. We will have some of the really large federal agencies give a quick overview about some of the opportunities that exist within their organizations. And then we are on to the matchmaking. So on the agenda, you can see that we have both a morning session of scheduled and unscheduled matchmaking, as well as scheduled and unscheduled matchmaking in the afternoon. So what does scheduled versus unscheduled matchmaking mean? Well, one of the great things about the Matchmaker is, as I said, it's an event about opportunity. And we want to make sure that buyers and suppliers are getting the most out of this event. So one of the ways we do that is leveraging technology. So through our registration platform, every company will be able to create a profile. They'll be able to attach information about their offerings, and they'll also be able to schedule meetings. So if you're a buyer and there's very specific companies you're looking for, you can go ahead through our platform and you can identify those companies and you can send invites to them to make those meetings. Similarly, if you're a buyer, you can use this platform as a way to reach out, share some information, and request meetings with those specific buyers. However, we realize that you may have a unique value proposition, and that federal agency may not be aware of how your business could help them. So that is why we also have unscheduled matchmaking sessions. The unscheduled sessions are open. It's on a first come, first serve basis. You'll be able to hopefully get in front of that buyer. There could possibly be a small line for some of our large or really popular buyers. But the unscheduled matchmaking portion is an opportunity for any business to meet with any of the buyers who are present at the event. So it's a hybrid event. And again, as a registrant for the Matchmaker, you will be able to participate in both scheduled and unscheduled sessions. We have some companies that have been coming to this event for years. They will only use the scheduled sessions. So they'll set up their meetings, they'll show up, knock those out, and they're out for the day. Especially for our newer companies, those unscheduled matchmaking sessions can be really helpful because, like I said, it's about opportunity. And regardless of whether you matched or were able to schedule that session in the portal, you'll still have that opportunity to try to stand in front of that buyer. So quick shift over to the registration. So the exciting news is registration is open now. We essentially did a soft launch yesterday afternoon. So if you are on this webinar, you can be the first cohort to actually start registering for the event. So the three categories of registration are again, supplier. If you're a small business, register as a supplier. We make sure that this event is approachable. We keep the costs down. That partnership, all of those organizations that come to the table to help get this event off the ground, help us keep this event accessible for small businesses. So we have a low early bird price of $125, and that is only through the 19th. That gets you, again, registration for the event. It gets you attendance to the trainings on the first day, access to our reception. We'll feed you the next morning, and that provides your lunch on the second day. So it's tremendous value for the money. For those of you who are existing government contractors or have looked at some of the industry day events, typically you may spend $500, $600, $1,200 on an event that is really meeting with only one federal buying agency. So there's a number of events in the state that are focused on just one or a few buying agencies. And we are bringing a whole lot of buying agencies to the table. So it really is a tremendous value. Registration will go up to $175 and be $200 for walk-ins. the day of. So I encourage you to register early if this is the type of event for you. The exhibitor registration is $350. Again, that gets you space on the floor of the matchmaker. So you will be in the arena on the floor where all the action is happening. Again, you will have hundreds of small businesses walking past your booth each day. That gets you a standard exhibiting table, 2 seats. You'll get 2 tickets to the event. You again will have access to the full event. So you can still schedule meetings. You can still participate in everything the event has to offer. And again, you'll have that added exhibitor space. We really encourage exhibitors to bring 2 people to the event. That way you can have 1 person manning your table the entire time. And then if you opt to schedule meetings, you'll still have the opportunity to go in and schedule those meetings and have one of your team members out there pitching your company to the buyers in attendance. And then we have our buyers and lenders. So if you are a government agency, if you are a large corporation, you are free to register. We will cover your cost for the entire event. We will feed you. This event is at no cost to buyers. However, if you are a buyer, we do require that you are a large prime contractor, you're a large corporation, or you are a federal, state, or local government agency. Again, the intent is that a buyer is there to find folks they're interested in purchasing from. So it's pretty rare that we have a small business that is in that space. However, if you feel like you're an exception, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We can talk through that on a one-on-one basis. But again, buyers are federal, state, local government agencies, or large corporations interested in doing business with more small businesses. We also have a lender registration option. Again, again and again, the largest challenge we hear from our small business community is access to capital. And we are excited to offer what we call Lenders Row. So if you are a bank, a credit union, or a financial technology company, and you have some sort of opportunity for small businesses, you are welcome to have a booth at our event as well. A lot of banks offer some unique contract financing options. So if you're concerned about your ability to perform against a large government contract because you may not have the cash flow or capital to do that, a lot of the lenders and attendants have some unique financing for folks involved in the procurement space. So those are the 3 categories. We encourage you to register soon. Registration will close on April 18th. But again, we want you to get in on that early bird rate as well. So a little bit about the registration process. I'm not going to go into extensive detail because it's pretty self-explanatory. The one thing I will leave you with is please, please, please check your emails and check them often, as there's a lot of important guidance that's going to be headed your way if you're coming to this event. So it's a basic 3-stage process. It's actually even simpler for our buyers. We kind of cut a lot of the work out for you to make sure it's as easy as possible for you to participate in this event. But that first step is registering on our website. So if you're a supplier, that means registering, providing some basic company information, and purchasing your ticket. If you are a buyer, again, you go through the same web portal. You don't need to pay, and we will handle some of the back end work that comes with that next stage of the process. And that is, you will create a profile in our matchmaking platform. So I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. So after you have purchased your ticket, again, I encourage you to put in some work as your profile is going to be visible to all the buyers at this event. You're going to want to make sure you put in correct information about the types of products and services that you can sell, and that you're presenting that in a professional format. There's also opportunity for you to upload capability statements. You're going to learn a lot more about those from Joey Scott, who's going to be presenting on the second half of this webinar. And then after you've done that, you're probably not going to hear from us for a little while. And as we get closer to the event, usually a couple weeks out, we open that matchmaking portal. So after you've created your profile, you will get an announcement usually a few days in advance of the date and time that matchmaking is going to open. And at that point, you'll be able to try to start scheduling those meetings with the types of organizations or companies you are interested in meeting with. So again, these are basically 12-minute meetings, a one-on-one, pre-scheduled during those scheduled matchmakings. But again, if you don't get that meeting or someone's calendar fills up, you will still have that opportunity to approach them during the unscheduled sessions. In terms of company information, we're going to want to know all the basics. So who's attending, what you do, the types of services that you provide, contact information, access to your company's website. It's a very great platform. It's self-explanatory. It talks through the process. And you'll also be able to add additional information, like I said. So capability statements, if you've got specific flyers or branding you want to attach, you can do that as well. So again, once your profile is complete, you'll have your own dashboard for the event. And once matchmaking opens, you will get a list of organizations you're matched to. This is based on the information you enter into the system. So again, please do your homework on the front end to make sure your information is correct. And you're going to see the directory. You're going to see those organizations you've matched to. That said, if you don't match to a specific a buyer and you've got a value proposition, you can still send them a meeting request. You are not prohibited from doing that in the platform. For our buyers in attendance, we will do as much of this homework as possible for you. So we will do the basics of establishing your profile. If you participated in this event, we will pre-fill that information and share a link to your profile so you can edit that. Or if you don't have the time but are looking for specific types of vendors, we can do that for you. And again, you will have the option to schedule meetings with specific organizations. However, a lot of buyers don't really worry about that side of the event, and they really just accept the meetings that are requested of them. So we're going to move through our last few slides here pretty quickly. Our next presenter is going to talk a lot more about this, but the basics as to what to bring. So if you're a buyer, again, you are going to be sitting at a table all day. I encourage you to bring a backdrop or a tablecloth to make it a little easier to find you, though we will have, clear maps and signage at the event. I encourage you to bring, knowledge of upcoming contract opportunities. Maybe you bring lists of the types of companies you're interested in engaging with, or some generic documents about the types of things your agency purchases. The other thing you'll want to do is make sure you have information on how companies can register to do business with you. So for our buyers, our prime buyers, typically they have their own corporate portals. However, if you're a state or local government agency or federal government agency, typically you're referring them to state and federal websites as part of that. If you're a small business owner, at a minimum, you want to bring business cards. You want to bring a capability statement. And again, if you don't know what that is, don't worry. We've got a training for that before this event. You want to make sure you've got comfortable shoes. This is a big event. It's a large venue, and there's a fair amount of walking. And again, you've got the opportunity to meet with dozens of buyers on the floor of a basketball arena. So it's a large space. Definitely wear comfortable shoes as you're going to be doing some walking that day. We don't encourage you to bring large, heavy objects. So if you've got a product that isn't something you can easily carry in a briefcase or in your hand, you may want to think about being an exhibitor rather than just buying that supplier ticket, because again, it is a reverse trade fair format. So you're the one who's going to be walking, visiting the buyer tables. And so anything you bring with you, you're going to have to cart around that day. In terms of guidance we can provide, most important thing is be prepared for this event. You will really get out of this event what you put into this event. So if you are doing your homework, if you are going to our website and seeing the buyers that are there, identifying the types of buyers that might be most interested in your product or service, this event is going to pay off for you much more than if you just kind of show up there with generic materials. Our website is regularly updated. At this point, I think we've got over 52 tables of buying agencies that have already registered for this event. So this is an old screen capture. Be sure to check out our website and see those organizations that are there. Make sure you've got a plan for who you're going to approach. And don't worry, if you're not 100% sure, there's some other resources that can help you as well. But, keep an eye out for your emails. Make sure you're building a good, positive presentation of yourself in the matchmaking portal. Make sure you've got great professional looking events to bring to this event. In terms of what we can do to support you, first and foremost, we've got 14 pre-event webinars for this event, and we've got kind of two tracks. That first track is really that basic information. What is the event? What types of organizations are going to be there? What are good strategies for me to implement? How do I build a great capability statement? And then on the second track, we're getting into the weeds on specific agencies, specific opportunities, and really talking about what you can do to really meet some of the needs of federal, state, and local agencies that will be in attendance. But wait, that's not all. If you're not familiar with Ohio's Apex Accelerator program, this is a public-private partnership between the state of Ohio here at the Ohio Department of Development, some of our university partners across the state, and the Department of Defense. We have a dedicated team in Ohio that exists purely to help Ohio companies compete for and win government contracts. So we have Apex Accelerators across the state. Joey Scott, who's presenting after me, manages that program. He'll talk to you a little bit more about our Apex Accelerators. And they can really be a fantastic resource in preparing for this event. They can help you figure out the type of companies you want to meet with. They can help you identify those specific buying agencies that you have a value proposition to present. And they are fantastic, fantastic folks with decades of experience in helping companies be successful in the government contracting marketplace. So they are an in-person or a meeting or a video chat away. If you've never engaged them and are either interested or engaged in the government contracting space, absolutely reach out to the Apex Accelerators. In addition to that, we have some other resources in the state. We have our state Small Business Development Center program. SBDCs provide advising and support for any small business in the state, really covering any challenge that they're facing. So whether you're starting or an existing small business, SBDCs can really help you at any stage of your business development, everything from developing in-depth marketing plans to identifying new customers. And then our sweet spot within the SBDCs is access to capital. We are working with thousands of small businesses across Ohio every day and really helping them identify opportunities to access capital to help their small businesses grow. Additionally, we have the State of Ohio's Minority Business Development Center program, or Minority Business Assistance Center program, sorry. MBACs really work with a lot of small businesses who are interested specifically in state government contracting. They can really work with companies. They really specialize in companies in getting state certifications and, again, are another resource. However, again, far and away, if you're coming to the Matchmaker, you really should connect with your local Apex Accelerator. So again, that really covers this event. Just know that this event is focused on helping government contractors and large organizations identify companies that are ready to participate in their supply chain. And for small businesses, it really is about opportunity. all of the partners at the table, whether it's the Ohio Department of Development or the U.S. Small Business Administration, or any of our programs like SBDCs or the Apex accelerators. We exist to really help small businesses succeed, and this is a very unique event that is focused on creating those opportunities. We do this event every year because we know it works. It is thrilling, to sit down and meet that company that was at the event last year. In some cases, it's big wins. They're getting construction contracts that are hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it's also the small wins that are meaningful as well. For example, I met a guy who had recently set up a commercial painting business, and met him 1 year. Really talked about how he was just new to this government contracting space, but had already had some successful federal government contracts, or sorry, successful company contracts. And then he showed up the next year, proud with pictures of an ODOT barn that he and his crew had painted. So you don't have to be a large company to find success here. You don't need to be, very involved in the government contracting space to be successful. This event is really focused on creating those opportunities. So that really covers my presentation. Again, we covered a lot of ground. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions that come up. I know answered a couple of those on the fly. I think we had a couple of folks who got some responses from folks on the back end. But we do have one question I see from James. You said, my company is an established employee-owned small business, about 400 individuals, and you're not a member of any typical set-aside categories, and you don't sell commodity products. Will this event be a good event for you? I would say yes, for a couple of reasons. One, it sounds like you might be able to provide services to some of the other small businesses that are there. But I will also say there's a number of federal agencies involved in the innovation space that are there as well. So Air Force Research Lab is always at our event, and they've got a substantial presence. We've also got some defense and intelligence agencies that have registered to attend this event. So I do think this would be a good event for you. I think it probably would be helpful for you to talk through with your local Apex Accelerator advisor, to maybe talk through what some of those opportunities are. As you become more of a niche company, those need to be kind of some more targeted conversations. But I definitely think you could find a lot of opportunity. And I think Joey Scott, who's going to be coming on after me, can probably talk to that as well. We also had a question, if you're a new small business, can you attend this event to learn as well? Yes, you can. So we are not excluding anyone from participating in this event. We are telling folks that, if you're an existing business that has experience under your belt, you're definitely going to find a lot more opportunity than if you're just starting out. However, there is a lot of opportunity for some of the new folks. One, you will have the opportunity to participate in networking. So if you've got a unique value proposition, if you've got unique experience, but maybe your company doesn't have the sales to back that up, there's opportunity for teaming. So perhaps you could come on as a subcontractor to one of the small businesses you may meet at this event. One of the great things about this event is there is really an environment of support and collaboration, and that's not just with the buyers and corporate partners. It's the small businesses that are there. So I really encourage you, if you're a new business, maybe reach out to some of the other small businesses. You're not going to find more businesses involved in government contracting in one spot anywhere else. So I definitely think you would find value there. You would find value in the first day trainings. I also say this is a big event. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of movement. And so it can be overwhelming for some folks who are new to this space. We essentially have potentially a couple hundred meetings going on at one time. And again, there's over 1,500 meetings going on during the day. So there's a lot of moving parts. And so it could help you just to come and learn about the event, learn what you can from the event. Again, the networking opportunities are going to be really unique. So without seeing
Yeah,
any other questions, I'm going to turn it
Jim,
back over to our co-presenters, and we'll go from there.
We do have um, an additional question I'd like to pose to you, but I do want to piggyback at the end of your just your last answering that last question about teaming. As Jim said, if you're new to this, it's still a great, wonderful opportunity for you to get in front of um, federal, state, and local buyers. But also, as he said, networking amongst other small businesses. And so, teaming, you may not, if you're just new to this space, you may not be the individual that gets a direct contract with the government, but you could team where there is another company that does have significant past performance and experience. And then you could possibly team with that individual. And you may be saying, well, what is teaming all about? So glad you asked. We do have a webinar on teaming in April. So if you want to log in and learn about teaming, about mentor proteges, where you have the opportunity to work with another company where they're the prime and you're the sub. So that's another great opportunity. So again, coming to the event so that you can connect with other small businesses. So that's a great opportunity that you wouldn't want to miss out on. We have tons of small businesses that are able to, before they actually make their mark into the government space as a prime, they do it through subcontracting. So that could be a great opportunity for you, especially as a small business being new to government contracting. But
Yeah, that's a great point, Shonda. And to give you an tangible example of what that looks like, I know for a fact we had a really small engineering firm who had not been involved in government contracting before, but they were able to meet a construction firm that didn't have any of these resources in-house. They met at the matchmaker. They established their own relationship. They were able to provide some engineering services. As it related to site evaluation and the environmental review process. That gave them enough experience to then go back later and compete for standalone government contracts in that space. So again, there are fantastic opportunities, and one of the great things about this event is no one's really a competitor at this event. Folks are working together. They're coordinating. They're networking. And that's what makes it such a fun, dynamic event to be a part of.
absolutely. Terry Sharp has a question. As a service provider, is it possible to see if you match based on your capabilities prior to registering to attend in person? It's kind of long. Based on the listed buyers, I'm not sure if they will match with our services. I'm attending a GSA virtual matchmaker event this afternoon, so I know the process. I work remotely in Baltimore. I take it that's Baltimore, Maryland, not Baltimore, Ohio. So attending in Ohio, where our company is based, will require travel. It would be great to know if my company's services will match prior to spending funds.
Yeah, and so there's two things we can offer. First and foremost, again, any of our Apex accelerators will be willing to work with you. If your business is located here, you can reach out to us. The great thing about the accelerators is it's a national program, so you will probably have a local Apex Accelerator office near you as well. And again, our list on the website's relatively up to date, so you can see the list of buyers and they can help you determine if there's someone there or what organizations might be a good fit for you. And again, if you're traveling out of state, there's certainly some added cost too as part of that. What I can say is, worst case scenario, if after the matchmaking portal opens and there's no matches or it's just not working for you, we're happy to talk to you and we could issue a refund. But what I will say is that might have happened a handful of times in the decade I've been working with the matchmaker, because the reality is, one, we've got a very diverse array of purchasers.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're something super niche, it's probably unlikely that there's not going to be at least a small handful of folks you should be talking to. But also, again, we want to make sure folks are really doing their homework on the front end. So most folks come into the matchmaking with clearly identified targets on who's likely to engage them in their services.
Yes, we do have more questions, Jim. You did such a great job. You piqued everyone's interest. I think the end of this question, I'm all for this event. There's some sort of outcome for my company. Just want to make sure it's appropriate for Sage Research Consulting. We can't say that, yes, you're definitely going to walk away with a contract. We can't commit to that, and we don't, say that, yes, if you do come, something's going to happen and there's going to be a definite outcome. But I believe, as Jim said, if you work with an Apex counselor, if you're not here in Ohio, you may want to work with the Apex counselor in your area. You can also connect with one of our Apex counselors just to get more information. If you do have an employee that works here, maybe they can attend. But again, you want to see if it's something that fits with where your company's at, what they're doing. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year. But you definitely can still continue to participate in the webinars and then make that decision based on, your interaction with the Apex counselor. Rick Stump says, are small businesses who exhibit able to participate in scheduled, unscheduled meetings, or do they need to purchase the small business package as well?
Yeah, so if you're exhibiting, you are basically a supplier plus. So you are both getting a table on the floor with 2 chairs and 2 tickets, and you will also be able to schedule meetings and participate in unscheduled sessions. But that is why I recommend that you have at least 2 folks there. One individual can be meeting with the federal buyers while you can still have someone staffing the table, so you're not missing any of that foot traffic.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jim. Vinny, he does have a question, but Joey's up next, and that question is specifically about Apex accelerators. So with that, again, thanks so much, Jim. As Jim said, this is all about opportunities. And as Jim said, we've been doing this for, I don't know how many years. This is about our 16th maybe year for the Matchmaker, and we've been doing it for, I don't know, 8-10 years. Definitely passionate about this and passionate about connecting small businesses with opportunities with the government. And as he said, it works. We've seen it work. Prime contracts, subcontracts, companies coming back 2-3 years. So the success stories lets us know it does work. That's why we continue to keep doing it. So without further ado, our next presenter is Mr. Joey Scott, and he's going to go over who Apex accelerators are, what they do, how they can assist you. If you're interested in coming and this is your very first year, you're wondering, well, how can I get prepared for the Matchmaker? Joey's about to share all that information with you. So take it away, Joey.
Thank you, Shonda, and thank you, Jim. So yeah, if you're excited about the Matchmaker, want to make sure that you are prepared as much as possible and know how to, do that preparation, how to conduct yourself during the Matchmaker, and then we'll also talk about at the end, how Apex accelerators can assist you beyond just the Matchmaker as well. So, as you heard, I'm Joey Scott. I'm a statewide director for the Ohio Apex Accelerator Program. If you're not familiar with Apex, we are funded in part by the Department of Defense in the state of Ohio to help companies like yourselves with all things government contracting, from facilitating introductions and connections through Matchmaker events and other opportunities to more of the technical assistance with all things government contracting. But like I said, first up, I want to talk about the Matchmaker. You heard from Jim what the Matchmaker is all about. So we all update this slide before we get it sent out, because obviously we are on the 2025 Matchmaker. But the point being is, if you go to the website for the Matchmaker, you will see everything from the agenda for the trainings the day of to the matchmaking schedule, so you can see when the scheduled versus unscheduled are, and also all of the webinars that we're hosting in preparation leading up to the Matchmaker. which is a good segue to how should you be preparing for a matchmaker. And again, this is a business to government matchmaker. It is kind of similar in format to the speed dating, as Jim said, because once you're there, you get just 10 minutes or so to really pitch your capabilities and make a lasting impression so that you can continue that conversation beyond the event. So that's why doing all the preparation on the forefront that you can, it's critical because you only have a limited amount of time, and the buyers and the prime contractors, they have limited bandwidth because they're meeting with people all day long. And so you want to make sure that you come into that meeting prepared so you leave that lasting impression. So, what should you do before the matchmaker? Well, do your research. As with anything, it's always good to start with research. Whether you're going after a contract opportunity or you're preparing for the matchmaker, find out who's going there. That's why we try to keep the matchmaker listing of buyers updated as frequently as possible so that you can see all the agencies, federal, state, local, prime buyers, all of them are listed on there so you know ahead of time who's going to be there. Because if your business is operating in the aerospace field, you probably want to meet with Air Force Material Command or Air Force Research Labs or any of the right pat components there. You want to know that they're going to be there, and they are. So then the next step is, okay, the people that are attending, the buyers, do they buy what you're selling, and how do they buy it? And so it's not just enough to say, okay, the agency I want to talk to is there. You want to do the research to understand, how are they buying what you sell? Because if you go into the meeting and say, oh, tell me what you buy, we'll get it for you, I can guarantee that conversation is going to go much differently than if you go in educated on what and how the agency buys. That's one of the biggest feedbacks from matchmaker events and just other conversations with contract officers. Companies that come to them and say, "Oh, tell us what you need and we'll get it." They're not too willing to have much of an in-depth conversation there. But a company that comes in prepared, understanding what the agency buys, and B, how they buy it. Is it on a credit card? Is it on a full-blown contract request for a proposal process? Whatever that may be, or if you come in speaking to a specific opportunity, it shows that you've done that research. It shows that you are serious about working with that agency in the future. So completely different tone set for your conversation that you're going to have than if you come in unprepared. So that's why we always recommend start with your research. Who are going to be at the matchmaker, which thankfully we have the website to help with that. And then how are they buying? What are they buying? And have they bought it before? And so there's a lot of different free and available databases out there, like USA Spending. And if you are more willing to work with raw data, you can always look at the Federal Procurement Data System, FPDS. But I always recommend people look at USA Spending because it's much more manageable. That will show all of the historical contract data that an agency has bought in the past. SAM.gov. It's not just where you go to register with federal government as a contractor. It's also where federal opportunities over $25,000 are posted. So, again, as you just heard, you're not going to walk out of this matchmaker event with a contract in hand. But if you do your research and see that, oh, there's a sources sought or a request for information out there, that indicates this agency is looking for potential vendors to fulfill a need at some point in time in the future. So if you come in that conversation and say, hey, I saw this opportunity out there, we're situated to respond to this and we're going to respond to this, that builds that connection a bit more. It shows that you're doing your research and you're serious. So also, it's not just doing the outside research. Also do the research within the matchmaker portal. So as you heard, kind of the process is once you register as a supplier, there will come a point in time when you can request meetings. Well, leading up to that, you can see in the portal who all the agencies are and everything else. View their NAICS codes, view what information they have in their profile, even if it's a day ahead of the matchmaker, because again, that's going to indicate what they're looking for, what kind of conversations they want to have with suppliers. So research, I cannot stress that enough. Research is important, not just in the matchmaker, but everything when it comes to government contracting too. Furthermore, Apex Accelerator, we have some databases at our disposal that we can help with some of that research. While I highlighted the free and publicly available ones, USA Spending, FPDS, we have some that we can run to help dig into the research a bit more. For example, if you want to sell to Defense Logistics Agency, DLA, and you want to understand the purchasing history for a specific part, we can help with that research in some of our databases too. Again, that ties into, if you're having a meeting with a representative from DLA at the event, again, you can speak to a more informed conversation. Keep in mind, you only have a limited amount of time, to have this conversation, pitch your capabilities, and make a lasting impression. You want to make sure that is a positive, lasting impression. So, beyond just doing the research, what else should you do to prepare for the matchmaker? Well, you heard Jim talk a little bit about, don't bring bulky things, travel light. And some key things to bring with you, though, are your capability statement and business cards. You really don't need too much else at the matchmaker, because those will be key leave behind materials to again continue that conversation beyond the event. So we're going to talk about some of the tactics and strategies here. First up, a capability statement. And I'm not going to go into too much detail with this because we have a webinar session in the coming weeks that speaks specifically to developing an effective capability statement. But just as a highlight or a teaser here, a capability statement is essentially a one-page resume of your company. So just as how you or I as individuals have a resume, your company should have a resume, and it should highlight 5 key areas. Core competencies, past performance, differentiators, corporate data, and while it's not on the screen, is equally important as just about any and all of those, contact information. Because you can have the most effective capability statement in the world as far as content, but if you don't have a point of contact listed on there, it kind of defeats the purpose of having one. So core competencies, that is the overall mission, essentially, offerings of your company. What are the key core competencies? What are the key products or services that you provide and that you provide well? I add that last part there, provide well, because if you, are working on something that's kind of outside of your comfort zone and you're not as skilled with it as you are with other parts of your company, you may not want to highlight that. You want to, again, lead with your best foot forward because you want to make a positive, lasting impression. And same thing goes with the capability statement. So core competencies, products or services that you offer. Differentiators, what sets you apart from the competition. Any quality standards you have in your industry, any specialized equipment or knowledge or anything else that would not be readily available to your competitors. You want to highlight those things as well. Corporate data, that is brief description essentially of the industries you're in, any small business certifications you have. Are you registered in SAM? So do you have a cage code, which initially tells people, yes, you are ready and eligible to sell to the federal government? Do you have a contract vehicle, like a GSA schedule? All these things, again, you'll learn more about when we dive into developing that effective capability statement. Contact info, as I said, you want to list a singular point of contact so that when you leave this document behind, it can be used to follow up with you. Last but not least, and I always save this for last and circle back to it, past performance. This is possibly one of the most important parts of a capability statement because past performance shows your previous work that you've done and have performed well. Again, you don't want to list a job or contract that you worked on and or failed or terminated from, because that's not going to leave a good impression. You want to list previous successes that you've had with contracts if you've had government experience, or if you don't have any government contracts, you want to list commercial successes that you've had. And the point of past performance, it's sort of like references. You are showing that you not only work in the industry or the arena that you're trying to go after, but it also shows that you've done that well. And if you have government experience, either as a prime contractor or a subcontractor, it shows that you understand how the government contracting process works. And again, going back to something Jim said early on, government, whether it's federal, state, or local, one of the key factors they consider is risk, right? And so they're less likely to work with a new business who doesn't understand government contracting, as opposed to a business that does understand government contracting. But there's a strategy for how to write your past performance and how to leverage it, which you'll hear in future sessions. So, capability statement is just one way to market yourself as a government contractor. Business cards are another way of doing so. Most people just have a business card. We'll generalize this that you have your contact information on one side and then a company logo on the back side. We recommend there's a way to make it more effective. Instead of just having that logo and essentially blank space on one side, turn it into a miniature capability statement. List your key corporate data, CAGE, NAICS, industries, business certifications, whatever you can list and keep readable on the backside of a business card, that can serve as a miniature capability statement. And again, it's something to leave behind with the government buyer that you're trying to build a relationship with. We'll talk a little bit later on about following up after the matchmaker, but one of the best ways to follow up and keep a conversation going is via email. One mistake that companies can easily fall into is after they met with 10 different buyers, they'll send a mass email. Don't do that, because you want to personalize it. A mass email, A, may end up in spam or junk, but B, it shows that you don't have that personal connection that you're trying to build. And relationships go a long way in the world of government contracting. So personalize each email, attach your capability statement as a PDF to follow up. The reason I say PDF, if you include a Word doc or PowerPoint or anything else, sometimes they don't get through spam filters, but a PDF is more easily able to get through spam filter. And then again, use your research that you've done, tie back to the conversations that you've had. So we'll talk more about that in a moment. Networking events, good way to market yourself. You're coming to a matchmaker, that in itself is a networking event. But again, know the audience, do your research beforehand, and then follow up afterwards. Know who's going to be at the event, not just from an agency standpoint, but points of contact. We'll talk about that a bit more in a moment too. But sometimes, you meet with a buyer and they're not the right person, so to speak. But that's okay. That's not a deal breaker. That's not the end of the conversation. There's a way to leverage that to your advantage, which we'll explore in a moment. So that's how you prepare on the front end. What do you do in the matchmaker? So once you're there day of, keep in mind, again, you have limited time, so you want to make the most of it. You only have 10 minutes to pitch your capabilities and make a lasting impression that you're going to build upon weeks and months and years after. Be prepared and be confident and be understanding. Do your research ahead of time. If you've done that, you're going to check the boxes. Practice, your pitch before you go, because you don't want to sound robotic, but you want to be confident in talking about your business. And one of the last things here on the plus side, the do's, be considerate. Keep in mind who you're meeting with is a human being. Oftentimes that can be forgotten, via email or phone call. Things can sound a little disconnected sometimes, but especially when you're there in person, keep in mind you are talking to a real human being. Sometimes they might need to take a break and go to the restroom. They might be a little late, or keep in mind they've just had meeting after meeting after meeting. If you're talking with them in the afternoon, they may be a little tired. So just be considerate of who you're talking to as well. Don't monopolize a meeting. Don't complain about the government, and don't discount the person across from you. So, like I said, you have a limited time. You don't want to be talking that entire time. If you have 10 minutes, don't spend all 10 minutes talking, because this is an opportunity to build a relationship. Yes, you want to pitch your capabilities and pitch your company, but you also want to hear from the person you're talking to. And believe me, they want to talk. They want to talk about opportunities they have. They want to get to learn your company more. They want to ask you questions. So be prepared with a pitch. And we'll talk about how to develop that in a moment, but don't monopolize a meeting. Know that they want to have a conversation with you. They don't want to have a presentation. Either pitfalls, when we've seen this in the past, you're at a government matchmaking event. You want to build a relationship with a buyer who may be from a federal, state, or local agency or prime contractor. Especially if you've been in the government space for a long time and you're trying to win contracts. It's a process. It takes time. Don't devolve the conversation into complaining about how you're not winning contracts, or complaining about politics or the government in general. They're not there to talk about any of that stuff, and oftentimes it's out of their control too. We've seen clients do that, and I can tell you they did not develop a positive relationship with the person on the buying side. So keep it polite, keep it respectful, and again, go in with the mindset of you're looking to develop a relationship. You're not going to come out of there with a contract in hand. And again, don't discount the person across from you. It may not be a contracting officer. It may not be the technical person that understands the R&D side of the business. It may just be a person from the agency. But they're going to go back to the agency, and they can report back on the conversations and meetings they've had, and they can report back and make connections for you too. So, even if you are meeting with the right person, but their agency doesn't have an opportunity for you, they have a counterpart at another agency. They're more than willing to make connections, and believe me, it happens quite frequently. So you want to utilize the relationship that you're building. Don't say, oh, you're not the right person to talk to, and then just walk away, because they can always help get you in front of the right person to talk to beyond that event. So talk about perfecting your pitch, how to develop a good pitch. 4 pillars of an effective pitch: clarity, practice, simplicity, and passion. Clarity, you want to make sure that it's concise. Again, you have limited amount of time. You don't want to spend 10 minutes, if you only have 10 minutes, talking about what your business is. Keep it concise. Practice it. You want to rehearse what you're going to say, not just from a understanding of what you're going to say, but also try to rehearse it with other people, whether it's a family member, a colleague. Sometimes it's better to talk to somebody outside of your business, because when you practice your pitch in front of them, you can ask them, hey, tell me what you just heard. And if your pitch is effective, they will essentially parrot back what you said, and they'll have a clear understanding of what your business is and does. If your pitch is not effective, then they'll say, well, I think you do this, or really I stopped listening because it was too complicated to listen. So you'll get good feedback on how to again, keep your pitch clear and concise, and also keep it simple. There's a lot of lingos and acronyms in government contracting. there's a lot of different jargon and technical terms in every industry and every business. But again, who you're talking to might have that technical understanding, they might not. So you want to keep your pitch as simple as possible. Especially if you're in an acronym heavy world, you don't want to show off with all the acronyms and technical words that you know. You want to build the foundation of a relationship. So it's better that they understand what you're talking about than understanding, how many acronyms you know. And then passion. You want your passion to shine through. Your business is your own. You care immensely about it. You want that to show through, but you don't want it to, run into a tangent about, everything you've done up to that point. So be passionate about your business, but don't, let it overtake the conversation. Six steps to success in developing your pitch: a hook, identify a problem, present a unique solution, celebrate your team, develop traction, and close. So essentially, when you're developing your pitch and you're rehearsing it, open with a hook. You want to capture the attention of the agency, talking about just who you are and what your business does, but then dive into that problem. If you've done your research, you can see, there's an open opportunity out there that's been reposted time and time again. Or through research that there's something coming up in the future. You can talk to that, or you can keep it more general, but that's where you want your research to demonstrate that you've done some research on the front end. A unique solution. Your company, your product or service is the unique solution. So, how can you address that problem? How can you solve it in a more efficient or cost-effective manner? Your team. Highlight, the employees that you have, the team that you work with, or other companies that you work with. As you heard from Jim and Shonda, teaming and joint venturing, those are effective ways to build traction in government contracting space. And there will be a session later on in this series about teaming. And then traction. You want to highlight your successes, any past performance you've had, and close. One of the things I always recommend in your close, again, you're at the matchmaker, you're not walking out with a contract, but you're trying to develop a relationship. Ask them how they like to follow up. If they prefer email or phone, because every person has a preference. Me personally, email is much more effective. If somebody's in a lot of meetings all day or whatever have you, email is sometimes more effective. Phone call it's sometimes harder to get a hold of people. So figure out what their communication preference is. Again, going into the meeting, know your goal. Do you want to just inform the agency of your existence, or do you want to talk about a specific opportunity? You're not going to walk out of there with a contract in hand. I can't say that enough. Know your audience. Do your research beforehand. Show that you know what the agency buys. Again, if you go in and say, "Tell me what you buy," or even worse, tell me about your agency. I don't know what you do. Again, those are going to be much different conversations, much less effective conversations than if you go in with an understanding of what and how the agency buys. Keep things clear and concise. Less is more. Again, we want to be passionate about our business, but we don't want to, let that overtake the conversation where the person across from you can't get a word in. Again, you want to build that rapport. You want them to ask you questions and learn more about your business. You don't want to just reiterate, bullet point after bullet point about your company. So that's during the matchmaker. You're trying to make that lasting impression. Well, it's great if you make a lasting impression. You don't want it to just end with the matchmaker, though. You want to follow up. So again, try to figure out how they like to communicate, whether it's phone or email. And again, if you feel you've met with the wrong contact, try to utilize that meeting to get in front of the right one. Ask, can they make a connection for you? Or who should you be talking to? And try to develop that relationship. Follow up after the matchmaker, reference that you had a conversation with them. Believe me, they meet with so many different companies, they're not going to remember everybody they met with. But if you had a good conversation, following up, that extra step goes a long way. And then don't forget to touch base with your Apex Accelerator afterwards as well, or your Small Business Development Center, SBA rep, whoever it is, because we can sit down with you and talk strategy, right? How can you leverage the success of the matchmaker to your advantage? And also, don't forget to respond to opportunities out there, especially if they are in the pre-solicitation phase, sources sought, request for information. That's all the government doing their market research. And the more of those you respond to, A, it helps your business become more prevalent and recognized in the government space. And B, if you're a small business and another small business or a few small businesses are responding, chances are that opportunity is going to get set aside for small business then in the future, and that limits the competition to just small businesses. So there's a strategy and a reason why you need to respond to those opportunities that beyond just contract opportunity. That's enough about the matchmaker. We talked about come to the resource partners afterwards to help you follow up and leverage all of this. So I want to kind of brief everyone on Apex Accelerator just quickly, what we do and how we can help. So essentially, we help companies. I always put it into three buckets. We help companies become procurement ready, help them experience procurement success, and catch all of helping you just stay in the government marketplace. So on the front end, procurement readiness, helping you be positioned for success, whether that's on the very front end of things with getting registered with the state of Ohio as a vendor, or system for award management to go after federal opportunities, or other states or local entities, whatever it is. Helping you pursue or investigate business certifications at the federal or local level. To more developed things such as building that capability statement, helping you identify contract opportunities, and helping you through that research of understanding what the agency is buying. We offer a free bid match service that brings contract opportunities right to your inbox based on keyword searches. And then we also try to connect you with these networking opportunities, matchmakers, and just about anything else. So that's the first bucket. The second one, once you found an opportunity, we want to help you experience procurement success. So we'll review those opportunities with you. We'll help you develop your bid or proposal in response to the opportunity. We cannot write anything. We are not an agent of your company. We actually are prohibited from writing anything, so we cannot write your proposal. But what we can do is guide you through that process. As you're writing it, we can critique it, provide feedback, help you make sure that your proposal is, as responsive and responsible and competitive as possible. And also, how to leverage your past performance, talking about strategy. It's one thing to understand, what a contract is asking, but, how do you leverage a successful experience to get future ones? And then the last bucket here, staying in procurement, from simple compliance things, helping you through the annual SAM renewal process, to understanding DoD cybersecurity requirements, to more advanced things such as innovation opportunities, connecting you with Small Business Innovation Research Program, Defense Works, any other innovation opportunities out there. And again, leveraging your past wins into future ones. As you heard, we are funded in part by the Department of Defense, and our federal funders ask us to help provide education and awareness training on other topics such as foreign ownership, control, and influence, all the evolving DoD cybersecurity requirements, all the innovation programs, and a few other niche programs as well. And here in Ohio, we're also proud to always be innovating. We've developed a few innovative collaborations, one of which is the Ohio Procurement Internship Program, where government contractors, small businesses in Ohio, you can apply, be part of the program. You get a procurement trained student for the summer. 40 hours a week for 12 weeks. This is a student, a college, undergraduate student who went through a dedicated semester-long course on learning the fundamentals and basics of government contracting so that they can apply that knowledge and further your efforts during that summer internship. We also have a cybersecurity assistance program called Cyber Secure, which you'll hear more about in the cybersecurity webinar that's part of this series. So just to reiterate, Apex Accelerators, we're here every step of the way to assist you, whether it's at the very beginning or the very end. We are there every step of the process to help. And then we're always proud of our clients. Last year, our clients won over $1.6 billion. That's billion with a B. And most of those were federal prime contracts. And that's, a result of them building relationships through matchmaking events and other opportunities and, seeking our assistance. I always like to say, too, that there's an Apex Accelerator near you. We have over 10 locations all throughout Ohio, and our sister Apex Accelerator down at the South Point of Ohio. And there's an Apex Accelerator in just about every state across the country, too. So even if you're outside of Ohio, obviously, if your company is based in Ohio, we'd love to assist you. But, if your company happens to be outside of Ohio, we can connect you with your local Apex there as well. And just to recap, too, the webinar series, again, we have 2 tracks, one for companies newer to the matchmaker, one for companies that are a bit more advanced or returning to the matchmaker. And all of these are geared towards preparing you for success at the matchmaker and beyond. So with that, thank you, and I'll pause for any questions.
Thank you so much, Joey. It's always exciting to see just how detailed, the assistance that Apex can give small businesses to prepare them before the matchmaker and, as you said, beyond. I don't see any questions. If you do have questions, go ahead and type those in the chat.
Well, I'll reiterate, I know before you were highlighting, somebody was asking for contact details for their local Apex Accelerator. Please go to the website and you can find your local Apex at that website link there, or just send me an email and I'm more than happy to introduce you to your local Apex Accelerator counselor.
Yes, and I just so happen to know Vinny, the Apex Accelerator counselor in Cincinnati, I believe is Danielle Peterman.
Yes.
But as Joey said, you can go to the website to get her contact information. And definitely great resource partners, again, to assist you to prepare for the matchmaker. So if you don't have your capability statement, definitely you want to reach out to work with them, looking for opportunities, doing the research to find out who's going to be there. But definitely maximizing your use of your Apex Accelerator. Any other questions for either Joey or Jim? Again, we do definitely appreciate, looks like the majority of the people stayed on, you joining us today. And again, we are excited about, you're new to the matchmaker, please come up and introduce yourselves. I don't think I didn't mention, the matchmaker this year is going to be a little early. It's going to be April 23rd and 24th down at the Nether Center. So on the 23rd, we typically have that half day of training. So we'll have 2 different trainings and then a reception, as Jim said. So great opportunities to network with some of our buyers are there earlier, some of the exhibitors, and again, the small businesses. There we go. And then the 24th is a full day. So that day is really busy. And definitely want to come energized, come with your comfortable shoes, please. You'll be doing a lot of walking, so make sure you have enough capability statements. So we do have a full day scheduled and it goes pretty quick. So I don't see any other questions. And with that, again, thanks so much, Jim. Thanks so much, Joey. As you can tell from their presentations, not only is it a lot of content to help you prepare for the matchmaker beforehand and then afterward, but just you can also hear the passion that we're passionate about helping small businesses because we want it to be successful. So we look forward to you joining us. Our next webinars are next Wednesday, again in the morning at 10 to 12, and then in the afternoon, 1 to 3. We have a webinar this afternoon, 1 to 3. I don't know what it is. It is
doing business with the state of Ohio and Ohio Facilities Construction Commission.
All right, so you definitely want to join that. And then the links for the webinar should be posted within a week. So you can access the website to find those out. All right, well, everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at the Matchmaker and have a fantastic day. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.